All right, how are we doing today? Welcome to the 2017 Blue and Gold Family and Homecoming Weekend. We're so excited to welcome you here on a beautiful day in Meadville, Pennsylvania. What we will do first is we will introduce all of our incoming class for the 2017 Hall of Fame class. So first, we have Jeff Carman representing his father, the late John Carman, from the class of 1957. We then have Renee Goss representing former Allegheny volleyball coach Bridget Sheehan. And now we also have the members of the 2000 Allegheny baseball team. And I will attempt to read off everyone that is here with us today. We have Alan Klaus, Ben Contrusi, Ben Couch, Kevin Davidson, Jared Essie, Jaron Fidelis, Mike Farris, Rob George, Keith Gonzalez, Cliff Hine, Brad Hensler, Kevin Hiles, Joe Kasanik, Jesse McPherson, Mark Minadio, Jeff Mountain, Tug Olick, Adam Ashonik, Nick Poleni. Representing Dean Peterson, we have Quinn, Ryan, and Jaden, future Gators and his sons. Bob Spithaler, Scott Swinchuk, David Weber, Justin Welker, Brian Zorman. So let's give another big round of applause for our 2017 Hall of Fame inductees. All right, everyone, you may have a seat in the front row. Thank you. Just in front. Yes. Yes. This is it. And we'll go into. This is our Allegheny advantage at its finest, right? Good job, guys. First of all, I would also like to welcome, we have some current Hall of Famers here. So if you're a current member of the Hall of Fame, will you please stand and be recognized? So we have, go ahead, don't be shy. Thank you. We would also like to say a special thank you to our Hall of Fame committee. We spend many hours, agonizing hours, going through a lot of stats and looking at a lot of pictures and looking at a lot of statistics. So it's a very arduous task, but one that we take very seriously, and we're very excited to present this class to the institution. So if you're a member of our Hall of Fame committee, will you please stand and be recognized as well? And I'd also like to take a moment to thank everyone behind the scenes that makes this event possible. From our partners across campus with development, alumni and development, to our friends in Parkhurst who have put together a great meal for us. Also our staff. We have Jim Berger, who's our Assistant Athletic Director for Athletic Communications. He's back in the back with the camera right now. He likes that spot. That's his favorite spot. But also Sam Avery, who's our manager of athletic operations. You got a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls from her. So without her and a tremendous staff that I'm able to work with, we wouldn't be able to pull off such an awesome event. So please give a round of applause to all those people. So today, ladies and gentlemen, as we honor the 37th class of the Allegheny Hall of Fame, the first ever inductees entered the hall in 1980. And today, the number has grown from 16 in that inaugural class to 201 individuals and teams. We are more than pleased to recognize such a star-studded group of Gators who have had a huge impact on the success of Allegheny athletics, an athletic program that has produced 554 All-Americans, 193 conference championships, 40 academic All-Americans, and 14 national championships. We celebrate the accomplishments of this legendary group. Let us recognize the accomplishments of our current student athletes who've had their share of success on and off the playing field, and definitely within the classroom. Last year, we had 81 student athletes that were named All-NCAC. The Gators produced the NCAC Men's Cross Country Runner of the Year, both the NCAC Men's and Women's Track and Field Indoor MVPs, and the Women's Lacrosse Midfielder of the Year. 17 Gators were selected All-Region. Dan Chung and Randy Violet were each named All-American in cross country, while Dan went on to be named the 39th COSIDA Academic All-American in Allegheny history. While we've been accustomed to athletic success at Allegheny, we must also celebrate the academic achievements of more than 400 student athletes. In 2016-2017, student athletes at Allegheny posted a 3.05 GPA, again higher than that of the general student body. 48 Gators were named NCAC Academic Honor Roll, which means that they had a sophomore, junior, or senior status, and they had a GPA of a 3.5 or above. And as I mentioned earlier, Dan Chung was awarded a COSIDA All-American for academics. He was also a Fulbright Scholar for the college, which was a tremendous accolade and representation for the institution. While we're only 7 weeks into the school year, the Gators have already seen their share of success. Both cross-country teams are ranked in the top 5 in the region and are primed to defend their NCAC titles next weekend. The women's soccer team is closing in on a playoff berth, while the football team has put on some offensive displays that we haven't seen in Allegheny in over a decade. And hopefully you'll get to see some of that display here this afternoon too. Volleyball senior Tara Shaw ranks among the top 15 in the NCAA in digs and is on pace to break the school's all-time career record, while our men's and women's swimming teams produced both the NCAC Men's and Women's Swimmer of the Week following their first competition last Saturday. And both of those individuals were actually freshmen. With our deep and storied past, along with a bright future, Allegheny is committed to remain a true pillar of Division III athletics, not just regionally, but also on a national scale for generations to come. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to recognize the 2017 Allegheny College Hall of Fame inductees. Our first inductee fought through adversity to blossom into a 3-sport standout at Allegheny from 1954 to 1957. At the age of 6, he suffered a debilitating leg injury in a fire that required multiple skin grafts. He recovered to become an athletic standout at Hampton High School, north of Pittsburgh, before matriculating at Allegheny. As a Gator, he earned a total of 10 letters between football, track and field, and baseball, particularly leaving his mark on the football field, where he was punishing two-way player for Coach Red Moore. On offense, he played guard and paved the way for Jim Villa, who graduated as the program's all-time leading rusher, while on defense, he was a ball-hawking safety, while also returning kicks and punts. During his senior season of 1956, in which he served as team captain, he was named an Associated Press All-American at both defensive back and offensive guard. In the springtime, he doubled as a pitcher on the baseball team and a javelin thrower on the track team, which nowadays is absolutely unheard of, often participating in both sports on the exact same day. He was selected the 1956-1957 Allegheny Athlete of the Year, and after graduating from Allegheny, he went on to earn his PhD in geology from Penn State. He served as a professor in the geology department at the University of Iowa and was a researcher at the Goddard Space Center in Maryland and the Geophysical Laboratory in Washington, D.C., before passing away this past December in St. Cloud, Florida. Our first member of the 2017 class of the Allegheny Hall of Fame, John Carman, who's represented by his son, Jeff.
Thanks, Prussia. Let's hear it for the offensive lineman. My name is Jeff Carman. I'm John Carman's oldest son. With me today are my brothers, Glenn and Craig Carman, and my son, Zachary. My father couldn't be here. He passed away last year, but he would have been supremely honored to be here and be recognized for his performance and his contributions to Allegheny athletics. I would like to thank the Hall of Fame Selection Committee, Prussia, Hogue, and her staff, and everybody for what they've done for us in terms of recognizing his performance. Let's see. Red Moore was my dad's football coach, and Coach Moore said that Dad was a coach's dream based on his intelligence, speed, his ability to do what was demanded, and his love for the game. When he was asked what position he played, he would say guard, but he also was known to play tackle, end, center, cornerback, punt returner. So Coach Moore called him the best all-around lineman he had ever seen. He also pitched, as we heard, and threw javelin and competed in the high jump. He grew up in Allison Park, north of Pittsburgh, and was a lifelong Steelers fan, a lifelong Nittany Lion fan, lifelong Allegheny Gator fan. When he was 6, he was helping some other boys bake some clay pots, and one of the boys got some gasoline, and he got splashed with gasoline, and he suffered some burns because of that. And it took him a year, and they didn't think he would walk again, but he did recover. He not only recovered, he grew to excel athletically, and we were very proud of that. And if you talk to him, you never knew that he had suffered that injury unless you saw the scars. He never talked about it, and it wasn't really something he fixated on, but he moved on. That was his attitude. He taught my brothers and me to block and tackle, how to catch a ball, pitch, swing a bat, and field balls. Most importantly, he taught us to do your best, take pride in your commitment and your performance regardless of the outcome. Be gracious in defeat, be gracious in victory. After Allegheny, he went on to get his PhD in geology at Penn State, and he conducted research on the stability of rock-forming minerals and taught at Stanford, Iowa, Goddard Space Flight Center, Virginia Polytech, and UCLA. The passion that Coach Moore saw in Dad was something he also brought to his work and the way he lived his life. Our family is very proud of his success on the field and his passion for his life's work. And my brother and my son and I are very honored to be here today on his behalf. Thank you very much.
Last night at our social, I really enjoyed listening to the Carman brothers debate their dad's athletic prowess, and apparently there's a debate out of where exactly the Athlete of the Year award is. So we're not quite sure which brother has it, but someone is hiding it, and they'd really like to find that sometime soon. But we welcome you here again, and so excited to honor your dad here as well. Since its arrival on campus in 1889, baseball has traditionally been one of Allegheny's strongest sports. Legendary head coach Bob Garber put the team on the map after his 25-year tenure as head coach, before the Gators truly blossomed into a regional and national power through the 1980s and 1990s. At the dawn of the new century, the team reached new heights in the year 2000. Under coach Mike Farris, the Gators went 38-10 and remained the only Allegheny team to advance to the NCAA Division III World Series. During the regular season, they put together 2 winning streaks of 10 or more games, went 10-1 at home, and 13-3 in the grueling NCAC conference. Despite falling in the NCAC title game to OWU, the Gators received an at-large selection to the Mideast Regionals, where they avenged their earlier loss to the Bishops before knocking off Mount St. Joseph in the championship game to advance to the World Series in Grand Chute, Wisconsin. The Gators won a pair of games at the World Series to close the season ranked number 3 in the country. 9 players were all NCAC selections, while Jeff Mountain was named the NCAC Pitcher of the Year. Jeff, along with Scott, Brad Hensler, Mark Minadio, and Ben Couch were named All-Region, while Jeff and Brad went on to be named All-America. While Jeff, Brad, and Kevin Davidson have already been inducted into the Allegheny Hall of Fame, it's now time for the rest of their teammates to join them. It's my absolute pleasure to introduce Coach Mike Farris and the 2000 Allegheny baseball team. So.
First, on behalf of the team, I'd like to congratulate the other inductees into the 2017 Hall of Fame class. The Carman family, Jeff Carman, on behalf of their father, congratulations. And Bridget Sheehan, I was able to work alongside Bridget for almost 20 years. And Bridget is an outstanding coach, but more importantly, she's an outstanding person. And I just want to wish Bridget all the best. Okay, now I better do this. I probably need this. And hopefully I won't need these. I hope. Okay, now on to you guys. I believe the motivation for that special 2000 season began at the end of the 1999 regional tournament in Canton, where we got eliminated from that tournament after a pretty disappointing performance. So, as I recall, we got back to Meadville, had our banquet, and I think I remember grabbing the 3 upcoming seniors, Jeff Mountain, Kevin Davidson, Brad Hensler, and we had a little talk after that banquet. Now, as all you guys know on this team, I very rarely, or hardly ever, got upset at you guys after we had a bad game or a bad performance, which is a joke. You're supposed to laugh at that. Can't you tell I'm nervous up here? You gotta... Right? All right, anyway. Something about that 99, how it ended, still stuck with me, and I was very upset about it. And as I know you guys were on the team too, especially the 3 guys coming back for their last year, the 3 seniors. So we all decided that what happened was unacceptable, and we didn't want to feel that disappointment again of getting so close to advancing to the World Series, but not finishing the job. So it was through those 3 seniors' leadership that we went into the next year, and this team came out and had a determination to make sure they got back and had a chance to finish the job and get to the World Series. So all year long, that team worked extremely hard. It began in the fall, and with the fall program, they'd be out there putting extra time in every day, on the field, on their own, before practice, working out, staying after practice, working out. I know I used to get kidded by the football coaches because when they would walk down to football practice, they'd go past our field on the way to theirs, and we'd be on it practicing already. Well, 2 or 2 hours or so later, they'd come back after their practice up the field, and we'd still be out there practicing. Of course, that was on your own, Well, then we got into their dedication to the strength and conditioning program that carried us through the rest of the semester, and then coming back in the second semester. And then that led to our 2 to 3 months of indoor practices in the winter. Now, I'll admit now that those indoor practices aren't a lot of fun. It's a monotonous grind, and during those winter months when there's 2 feet of snow outside around us, there's other teams in the country that are on a real baseball field practicing baseball, and here we are indoors on rubber basketball courts practicing the game. But this group, during that time, stayed focused and disciplined and worked their way through it and got prepared for that special 2000 season. So as that season unfolded in the schedule, we played the schedule, and that season unfolded, I believe there was a characteristic of this team that they showed that best defined them, and that was their ability to overcome, bounce back from, fight through any kind of adversity that they were faced with. Whether that was in a game, single game, where if we had fallen behind early, that they found some way to come back and pull out the game and win the game, or whether that was with particular teams that we may have played earlier in the season or postseason that might have given us some difficulty. Well, that was never more evident than in that regional tournament when we ran into 3 teams that we had a previous history with. And that first team was Marietta. Now, for some reason, they were on our schedule that year. I don't know why. Down there, doubleheader down at their place. Very difficult place to play. I'm going to blame that scheduling on Coach Peterson since he's not here. But, they're national power. They're probably number 1 ranked or somewhere close to it at that time, earlier in the season. So we went down there, played them a doubleheader, and got beat up pretty good down there. They scored like 30 runs on us in 2 games. So, as fate would have it, though, we got to meet them in that regional tournament. And when it mattered the most, this team came through and won the game. And this time only giving up a couple runs to them in victory. So that brought us to the next team, which was Ohio Wesleyan, conference rival, one of our conference rivals. And we had seen them the earlier week, the week before this regional, we had seen them in the conference tournament. Well, we got to play them twice in that tournament, and they beat us up pretty good in both of those games again. But as fate would have it, we got to meet them in the regional. And when it mattered most, this group came back and won the game and advanced on to the next team that we had to beat, and that was Mount St. Joe's. Now, after beating Marietta and Ohio Wesleyan, we had 2 games against Mount St. Joe's to win 1 to advance to the World Series. So in that first game, and you can probably predict what I'm about to say next, they beat us up pretty good in that game. But in a testament to this group's toughness, character, will to win, they bounced back in that second game and convincingly beat them when it mattered most, and were able to advance on to the World Series for the first time in program history. Where at that World Series, where I think most teams, their first time there, are just happy to be there, and they play their 2 games and go home. But not this group. The moment wasn't too big for them. They went there with the idea that they were going to win it. And we went out and won those first 2 games. 2 very close, tense games, and we were able to advance to the winner's bracket final and eventually end up finishing in 3rd place that year. So that 2000 season, guys, was truly a remarkable one, and one that we should all be proud of. All right, I'm going to take some time here to thank some people as quick as I can because you can't have a season without people like this that help you out throughout the way. First, I want to thank the parents and the families of the players, including my own, for all their support. You helped us out immensely, helped the program whenever it was needed, and your support just always being at the games, traveling on the road trips, and your presence in Wisconsin, I think, was real important to the guys. I think it gives them a calming influence and helps keep them more relaxed, and it certainly showed on the field. And next, and with this group again, seasons like this aren't possible, and that's the athletic administration. In particular, Rick Priam, the athletic director at that time. Rick was my mentor. Rick was the one who gave me the opportunity to coach this team, and Rick was the one who was responsible when he was baseball coach for building this program into one that eventually became one of the best in the country. So I want to thank Rick for that. Next two people I want to thank: Maureen Hager, Mo Hager, assistant athletic director; Jamie Plunkett, head athletic trainer. I worked with them for a lot of years. And just to simply put it best, they are two of the best people that I've ever been around. And I believe Allegheny College was extremely fortunate to have them work there for all those years. Next, the secretaries at the time, Revani, Dunn, and Manny, Prussia. I want to thank you for making my job a lot easier. And I know you had your hands full, but it allowed me to concentrate more on coaching the team, and it allowed me to spend more time with the team. And I know that they thank you for that too. Last, Jack McCrillis was our equipment manager, and Jack Steiger as assistant. Their job is very important and many times goes unnoticed, but we're all grateful as a team for the job that they did and how well that they did it. So thank you. So, as I wrap this up, we all know the most important part of any athletic team are the athletes, those who play the game, the guys on the field. But to me, there was another individual that season that was almost of equal importance, and we couldn't have had the year without him, and that was Dean Peterson, my assistant coach and the pitching coach. Now, giving a speech, I really didn't want to single out any individuals on the team because I felt everyone had an important role in the success of that season. But if there was one area on that team that I believe carried us the most to the World Series, it was the pitching staff. The most important part of any baseball team is the pitching staff on any level. And Dean Peterson was solely responsible for that group. And God knows I didn't want to deal with him. And I know they didn't want to deal with me either, or you didn't want me out there either. But I want to personally thank Dean for being, with me on the bench and help me make the best decisions for the team. And just, Kim, you can let him know we couldn't have had that year without him. Okay. Last and most important, members of the 2000 baseball team. The greatest, best team in the history of Allegheny College baseball. I want to really thank you for giving myself, Coach Peterson, your family, friends, and anyone associated with the team that year. I want to thank you for giving us a season that we'll never forget and giving us memories that we'll cherish for the rest of our lifetime. Thank you guys, and congratulations. Didn't need this. to introduce Ben Couch, who's going to speak on behalf of the team. Ben was a member of the sophomore class that year, and that class was very special to me because that was my first recruiting class ever as head coach. Ben?
Yeah. I was a junior. And I disagree with the pitching staff point too, but anyway. I know. So, yeah, there you go. So I don't know how I got up here. Mountain, Hensler, and Davidson said that their speech when they got inducted was perfect and they didn't want to do it again. So they stuck me up here. But first, congratulations to the 2000 Allegheny College inductees. So Coach Bridget Sheehan and the family of John Carman. You know, it's interesting, we often view the Allegheny experience through our own personal experiences, but it's eye-opening to understand the breadth of Allegheny's impact when you're able to hear about the amazing stories and accomplishments of fellow Gators. So our most heartfelt congratulations to you for the impact that you made on Allegheny College. So my wife Jackie and I have two kids, Grace and Joe, and their school bus comes at 7:10 in the morning. And usually on a typical day, it's about 6:55, and Jackie's sliding a sock on the foot of my daughter who's still sleeping, and I'm walking around trying to figure out where Joe fell asleep. But for those of you with kids, imagine for a minute, and I would just take one day, but if every day they woke up at 6 a.m., actually took a shower, got dressed, and ate breakfast by 6:30, and because they had so much time, did extra homework, that would be fantastic. That, to me, was what it was like playing on this team. Like Coach said, you know, we'd have a 12 o'clock start. I think we'd meet at the cage at 9 a.m. or something like that. It was crazy, but that's how it was on the team. You know, now that we've all are old and got jobs, you know, in the office, you see the same thing. You see teams of people who work for their individual bonuses or accolades within a company. But I've also seen teams who give life to the idea that a rising tide raises all boats. They take pride in their work, not because they're threatened of how hard the person in the office next to them is working, but because they don't want to disappoint them and make all their effort a waste by not carrying their own load. That was a lot like what it was like to play on this team. So I share those perspectives because hopefully it resonates with you, because we're all individuals, but we are all on teams in most facets of our lives. So that made me question how common it is that a team is recognized for the collective success of the group of individuals that are working together. So if you think about it, if you think about Allegheny College, for example, like we said, there's now over 200 inductees into the Allegheny College Athletic Hall of Fame. We are the 8th team. Organized baseball has been played at Allegheny College for over 136 years, and we're the 2nd baseball team to be recognized for that honor. So the 2000 season was one of dominance and redemption. I don't know if you have to be humble when you give a Hall of Fame induction speech, so I can say that. We lost 10 games. We lost one at the beginning of the year to Southern Maine. They ended up in the World Series with us. We split that series at the beginning. We did lose twice to Marietta in the regular season. At that time, we were ranked 4th in the country. They started the season. They were the preseason number 1, and they were 8th at that time. But like Coach said, we did beat them in the Mid-East Regional and sent them into the losers bracket, so that was great. We lost once to Worcester, who was ranked in the top 25, but we beat them twice in that 3-game series, and then we beat them again in the conference tournament. We lost twice to OWU, like Coach said. At that time, they were ranked number 1 in the country, but they couldn't beat, like in the postseason, they couldn't beat us in a regional tournament. I think we ended their season 4 years in a row or something like that. It was crazy. They were good, but they were the number one team in the country. What Coach didn't mention is we did travel down to OWU during that year, and we beat them 22-4. I think that was the game when Kasnick used Hensler's face for batting practice, right? Am I right? Yeah, he's swinging the bat pregame and hits our All-American shortstop in the face with a bat. Right before we're about to play a number 1 team in the country. It's great. But we ended their season that year, which was great. We lost once to the University of St. Thomas, who was the national runner-up, and once to Montclair State, who was the national champion. So if you think about it that way, we were 3-5 that year against teams that were ranked number 1 in the country, which is pretty good. Or if you think about it the other way, half of our losses that year were to teams ranked number 1 in the country. Now, if you're doing the math in your head, you know that's 9 losses that I just mentioned. That's largely because I refuse to acknowledge an 11-1 loss to Mount Union. It was for 2 reasons. Number 1, it was entirely inexplicable. And number 2, my younger brother was on that team, and I'm never gonna, hear the end of that. So, as Coach said, we had 3 winning streaks of 6 games or longer, including one at 12 games, another at 10 games. We swept a series against a Division II team. We went up there and shut them out in both games, and we had a stretch of 4 straight shutouts. And so the numbers back it up too. If you look at the Allegheny College record books, all of the names listed related to baseball. So we're talking 136 years. An astounding 36% of the records for hitting and 20% of the records for pitching are held by people on this team. If you think about them, Davidson is the top 5 in career batting average. Mark Menadio and Joe Kasnick are 1 and 2 in career at bats. We've got the all-time career hits leader, plus Mark Menadio and Hensler in the top 5 in all-time career hits. Davidson and Hiles are both in the top 5 in career doubles. We've got the career triples leader. Brad Hensler is the career home runs leader. Kevin Davidson, 3rd all-time in career home runs. We got the number 2 and 3 all-time in career runs scored, 2 and 4 in career RBIs. Mountains got the 2nd most innings pitched in a career. Sharples had the 5th most innings pitched. Mountain has the most career wins, and Sharples has the 2nd most career strikeouts, and Mountain is in the top 5. That's over 136 years of baseball at Allegheny. So clearly there's an explanation for all of this, and it's that we were obviously playing weak competition. But to the contrary, I mean, we've already laid out that we beat most of the teams in the top 10 that year. And further, if you look at the record books for Worcester, OWU, and Marietta, 10% of the all-time baseball records at Worcester, 27% of the all-time records at OWU, and 20% of the all-time Marietta records in baseball are held by people that we played against. So we do have a lot of people to thank for our success. As players, we owe a ton to Coach Farris. That goes in with us today. He's the 3rd most winningest coach by wins in program history. And we owe a ton to Coach Dean Peterson, who can't be here, obviously with us today. But he's got a lot of time to sit with us over in the Hall of Fame. So that's good. I'd also like to recognize Josh Sharples, who's not here, but as a teammate, we all love him. So hopefully, somebody will send along the message, right? He's a huge part of that team. Jack and Brian McCrillis, who manage the locker room and the equipment, and also our spirits throughout the year. Recently retired Jamie Plunkett, who spent 2 years of his adult life tending to Brad Hensler's hamstring. But he also took care of each one of us. Stan Marks. Stan Marks, right? Stan Marks was our bus driver who worked for the Anderson. Oh yeah, motor coach driver. I don't know how he gets the assignments, but every single game for 4 years, this guy drove the bus, right? Even for Florida, we'd have somebody show up to take us from Meadville to Charlotte, and it'd be somebody you don't recognize. And then 3 in the morning, we stop off, and Stan pops up in Charlotte and gets on the bus and drives us the rest of the way. He was on The Price is Right, too, so there you go. Show the tape. We'd also like to thank, I know she's here, and this was down before I even saw you this morning, Janine Sycophuse, who is a managerial economics professor here, when about 90% of the team was majoring in economics. So she cared as much about our futures as she did about our box scores, and so we thank you for that. And finally, all of our parents and family members who are here. Many of you are here today, and some of you are watching down on us now. Without the support and guidance that we received and continue to receive from all of you, we wouldn't be here today. So 17 years was a long time ago. We used to be athletes. We used to be students. We used to be young. Now we're financial managers, healthcare providers, teachers, coaches, and dads. But we'll always be Gators. There's a saying I kind of check in on roll through in my head every now and then as time's gone by, which is, if you try to be great and fail, you may end up very good. If you try to be average and fail, you'll be nothing. And so in that year, we tried to be great, and we did not fail. On behalf of the 2000 Allegheny College baseball team, we thank you very much for this great honor.
I would argue that in some ways, a lot of you guys are still young. I've hung out with you last night. I understand you hung out the night before, so there's definitely some youth still there. Also, a shout out to the families, the wives, the significant others. I know it's not easy hanging with your husbands when they reunite with their teammates, so we definitely need to give you a round of applause for everything you endured the last couple of days and for being here today. And also, I want to take a moment to have our current baseball team, if you guys will just stand up and be recognized. These guys have already... Now, obviously, the season has not begun. This is not our entire team, but these guys are gunning for you. They have been studying your stats. They want so badly the standard you all have set, and they've already been working hard. They've got Saturday morning runs through campus, their Blue Gold series. There's a lot that they are taking on themselves because they recognize the standard that this class set forth, and they really want to be able to make you proud, but also to peak in a way that you've been able to experience. So beating Worcester, beating OWU, I know those are all things that are on their list, and also going to the World Series. So I have no doubt that those guys are going to be able to attain a lot because they are a hardworking group, and they're really good people, and they're really good students too. So that is the cherry on top of our Gator experience. Our last inductee is the longest tenured and winningest head coach in Allegheny College history. A 3-time NCAC Coach of the Year who guided her teams to 4 NCAC titles and 4 NCAA Division III tournament appearances. She remains the only volleyball coach in NCAC history to win over 600 matches. That's 600 matches. That's a lot of matches. Her teams won 20 matches in 14 different seasons, including 4 seasons with over 30 wins, while they qualified for the NCAC tournament in 23 of her 30 years at the helm. In just her second season at Allegheny, she was named the 1987 NCAC East Region Coach of the Year, while the next year her team set a program record with 44 wins, capturing the first of 4 straight NCAC titles. The Gators finished at least 10 games over 500 in 11 of her first 12 years as head coach, and she hardly slowed down. She joined the exclusive 500-win club with a 3-0 victory over Piedmont in 2005, while 3 seasons later guided the Gators to a program record 11 NCAC wins. In the opening match of the 2014 season, she recorded her 600th career win in a 3-0 sweep of Waynesburg to become just the 23rd coach in the NCAA Division III history to surpass the 600-win plateau. Prior to the 2016 season, she made the difficult decision to take a leave of absence from her position as she battled cancer. And in a true testimony to her impact during her time as a head coach, the Allegheny and NCAC communities band together to honor her, highlighted by a capacity crowd on hand at the Wise Center for Battle for Bridget Day and last November's match versus Denison. 2 weeks later, the conference coaches unanimously named her the NCAC Coach of the Year to recognize her myriad contributions during her illustrious career. So in a season that she didn't even coach, her colleagues voted her the NCAC Coach of the Year. It was a great show of sportsmanship, of NCAC pride, and we couldn't be prouder of her. Unfortunately, she could not be here today. She's at home, still fighting her battle with cancer. It's been over a year, but in true Bridget fashion, she is fighting with everything she has. And we're fortunate to have her team here to represent her and to celebrate her for this wonderful honor. In addition to the incomparable impact that she had on Allegheny volleyball, she was an early pioneer and advocate for female coaches and served as a leader and a mentor for countless Allegheny coaches and coworkers throughout her 30-plus year tenure. Unfortunately, due to her illness, she could not be here today, but she is represented by her 2012 Allegheny Hall of Famer. She was her recruit, as you might even say one of her favorite athletes. But Renee Goss is here to represent Bridget Sheehan, our 2017 inductee. So Renee Goss.
Good morning. I'm going to do my best to keep it together up here. A couple weeks ago, I received a text saying that Coach Sheehan wasn't able to attend the banquet today, and she wanted to know if I would attend on her behalf. I immediately told her that it would be my honor to do so. I asked her if she wanted to write a speech for me to read, and she said, "No, I want you to write it. You know me, and you know what I was trying to do with the program." For me, that's a typical Coach Sheehan response. I'm not going to do it for you. I have confidence in you. Figure it out yourself. She did ask that I thank the nominating committee for including her in this year's class of inductees, and to thank the administration and athletic department staff for all the support that they've given her over the years during her entire career, and especially during the last 18 months as she's battled cancer. Legendary coach John Wooden said, "A good coach can win a game. A great coach can change a life." I could stand up here today and talk about Coach Sheehan's win-loss record, NCAC titles, Coach of the Year awards, individual player awards, etc. But those are not the things that were important to her. For Coach, it was about so much more than that. It was about sharing with young women the sport that she loved and having a positive impact on their lives. Along the way, teaching them important life lessons through sport, such as hard work, dedication, determination, teamwork, leadership, respect, to name a few. These have carried over to other areas of our lives, our families, our careers, and coaching. For me and so many others associated with the program, Coach Sheehan's legacy is the positive impact that she has had on the hundreds of young women that she has coached during her 30 years. And I know that I'm not alone in saying, thank you, Coach, for helping me to become the person I am today. I played for Coach Sheehan from 1988 to 1991. I was one of 5 that she brought in her first recruiting class. During that time, she was a part-time coach at the college. She had a full-time job. She was the vice president of a local tool and die shop. Most of her personal time was dedicated to the team and to the program. During a recent visit, I always wondered and was curious about why she coached, because I knew it wasn't for the money. And during a recent visit I had with her, I asked her just that. And she looked at me with this dumbfounded look, like I had just asked the stupidest question in the world. And I know there's others in the room that know exactly what look I'm talking about. Without hesitation, she said, "Because I love the sport and I wanted to share that with others." She had a passion for the game of volleyball, and she was a teacher at heart. Simple as that. I think for many of us, we have things in our lives that we don't truly appreciate until after the fact, and such is the case for me. I was very fortunate in high school and in college to have great coaches in basketball and volleyball. But at the time, I didn't realize they were great coaches. I thought, this is how all coaches are. It wasn't until years later when my husband and I raised 2 student athletes of our own who participated in a variety of sports from baseball, football, wrestling, tennis, track and field, cross country, soccer, from the youth, rec, travel, club, high school, and now even college level, that we realized, wow, good coaches are hard to find, and the truly great ones are extremely rare. Coach Sheehan was one of those great coaches. Anyone who knows Coach Sheehan knows that she's an intense, type A person with a never quit attitude. That's no more evident now, seeing how she has battled this awful disease over the last 18 months. Once again, she's teaching us all life lessons. I've often been asked what it was like to play for her. And I'll be honest, playing for her was tough. But it was a kind of tough that makes you a stronger person. She had very high expectations for everyone on the team. You were expected to give 100% effort 100% of the time. And she wouldn't accept anything less. It didn't matter if you were a freshman or a senior or a starter or on the reserve. The expectations were the same. Be the best you can be, work hard, and never give up. Not only on the volleyball court, but in the classroom or in anything else that you were involved in. But we respected that because her expectations of herself were no different. She lived what she preached. One of my favorite memories is from my senior season. After winning the NCAC championships the previous 3 seasons, our senior season wasn't our best. In fact, during one match that season, Coach benched all 5 seniors, including Molly, who was a 3-time NCAC Player of the Year and 2-time All-American. The next day at practice, she had all the seniors sit in the stands, in the bleachers, and watch practice. She told us we either start giving 100% or she's going to finish out the season with players who want to work hard. That was a wake-up call for us. We knew she wasn't kidding. It wasn't about winning. It was about us not giving 100% and playing up to our potential. Slowly, things started to turn around for us that season, and we squeaked into the NCAC tournament as the number 4 seed. We knocked off Denison that weekend, who was the number 1 seed, in 3 straight games, and the next day beat Wittenberg in 5 to win our 4th straight conference championship. Winning the conference title that weekend was great, but what made that weekend so special was that it was the culmination of everything that Coach taught us over our 4 years. Give 100% effort, work as a team, keep fighting, and never give up. She had the ability to bring out the best in each athlete and keep those athletes together as a team. And our success was the result of teamwork more so than individual talents. No one wanted to let the team down. And my other favorite memory is just from this past June, when almost all of the volleyball alumni from my playing days came back to celebrate Coach's retirement. I hadn't seen some of these girls since graduation 25 years ago, but it was like no time had passed. Even given the difficult circumstances of Coach battling cancer, stories were told and many laughs and tears were shed. And it was these lifelong friendships that I made from playing volleyball at Allegheny that are something that I will always cherish, and we have Coach to thank for that. In closing, I'm going to borrow some words from a Kenny Chesney song. We won some, we lost some. We were awful, we were awesome. We worked hard, we were lazy. We were heroes, we were babies. We made you proud and drove you crazy. You were a teacher, a preacher, a mother, a father, a lot less taker than giver, a keeper of secrets and constantly making believers out of quitters. For all of your time and your heart and your soul, you deserve a lot more than a toast But here's to you, and thanks again. We love you, and we'll hold you in our hearts with the things that matter most. We'll never forget you, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you, Renee. Our thoughts and prayers are obviously with Bridget. I know she's watching this, so I think we should send our love to her in true Gator way. So if you will indulge me for just a minute, I will count to 3, and if we can just say, we love you, Bridget. Would you guys mind indulging me for this one quick second? Okay, 1, 2, 3. We love you, Bridget. She is one of the strongest people that I know. The woman is a fighter. She has been someone that I've looked up to as a young professional. She doesn't take anything from anybody. A lot of those young women over there in the corner can attest to that. It was something very powerful to see her team and alums come back this summer to celebrate Bridget. When I think about Allegheny and I think what we stand for, the championships are great. The accolades are great, but when we come together as a family and we fight and we love each other, that's truly what this institution is about. Battle for Bridget was a representation of that. We raised money for the Cancer Institute here in town. Alums came back who hadn't been here in 20 plus years. I know a lot of our baseball alums haven't been here in 15, 16, 17 years as well. So I am not an Alleghenian, but I'm so proud to stand up here. I bleed blue and gold. The athletes will tell you that. I'm very loud, gregarious. I'm very energetic. But when I bleed blue and gold, I truly believe that I represent the family that is in this room and that is out in this community, because that is what Allegheny is truly about. It's about family and it's about love. So speaking of family and love, the leader of our family, our patriarch, if you will, Dr. President Mullen is one of our biggest fans. I'm very fortunate to call him a friend and a colleague. He's helping us do some fantastic things within the athletic department. So without further ado, he will provide our enshrinement. Dr. Mullen.
Thank you, Portia. If I could have all the inductees come forward and stand and face. And now we'll make it official. Be it known that on this, the 21st of October, in the year of our Lord, 2017, we are gathered in the city of Meadville, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, to enshrine John Carman, Bridget Sheehan, and the 2000 Allegheny College baseball team into the Allegheny College Athletic Hall of Fame. This action publicly proclaims those principles and values inherent in and enriched by the Allegheny experience as exemplified in the lives and careers of the aforesaid individuals. They, by this election, bring honor not only to themselves, but to their alma mater as well. May their accomplishments here recognized serve as a lasting challenge for future generations to discover the best that lies within their hearts and minds, and through disciplined pursuit, achieve excellence of the highest order. So I hereby declare that these individuals are now enshrined today and forever as members of the Allegheny College Athletic Hall of Fame. Congratulations. And if I might ask you to just remain where you are for a moment, I'd like to just offer a couple of brief remarks, if I could. And my remarks are probably focused as much on our current student athletes who are here today as on anyone else in the room. I think it's important when you have events like this that you pause and you think a bit about why they're important, why they matter, what they mean to your institution, what they mean to you. And if I could, I would suggest that what this event means every year, why it's important, can be summed up in one word, and that's tradition. And that's why I'm talking to our current athletes today. You are carrying on a tradition that every person in this line helped to build. Every person in this line wrote a chapter in the Allegheny College tradition, and you've heard about it today. And that in and of itself is powerful. But tradition matters even more. Tradition is why a group of guys, most of whom didn't expect to play for the New York Yankees, came to Allegheny College and competed. They competed because they wanted to be part of a team. They competed because they wanted to compete together, win together, beat Marietta together, beat Ohio Wesleyan together, march to the College World Series together. But you know what, even more? To grow together as friends and to carry friendships beyond Allegheny for the rest of their lives. That's tradition. That's why great coaches like Bridget Sheehan, Mike Farris, come to Allegheny and commit their lives to making a difference for young women and men, teaching them how to persevere, how to be part of a team, how to reach within themselves and be better than they ever thought they could be. That's tradition. That's why young people like John Carman come to Allegheny and not only achieve on each side of the football, but achieve in the classroom and go on and accomplish significantly in the world of geology with a PhD. That's tradition. And that's the tradition each and every one of you now hold. And that each and every one of you are being asked to write your own chapter. So when we honor the 2000 baseball team, when we honor Bridget Sheehan, when we honor John Carman, we honor every single athlete across generations who has written their own chapter. So I congratulate each and every one of our inductees, and I challenge our current athletes. Write your own chapter on the field, in the arena, in the classroom, and as alumni of Allegheny College. Go Gators. Thank you.
I mean, really, how am I going to follow that up? I mean, that was probably one of the greatest locker room speeches I've ever heard. You all may be seated. Congratulations to our 2017 Hall of Fame class. Our last order of business will be to take pictures. We'll make sure every individual on the 2000 baseball team, you get your individual plaques. Lots of pictures, so families come up, bring your cell phones, whatever apparatus you'd like to freeze this moment of time in. I hope that you will enjoy this day. We do have football up at Robertson at 1 o'clock. We also have swimming and diving participating today at 1 o'clock as well. I want to thank you again to our families, our friends, those people who love Gator athletics. A lot of faculty and staff are here today, our current student athletes, This absolutely makes me so proud to represent Allegheny. Again, I was not an Allegheny graduate, but every day I strive to represent you guys to the best of my ability. Our student athletes are doing everything they can to represent you well and to continue on that tradition. They want to write their own chapters. They want to create their own memories. They want to create their own championships, and I know they have it in them to do so. They're doing extremely great things on this campus and in this community to make you proud each and every day. We're so happy to welcome you back. This is your home, so do not be a stranger. Come visit us often. The door is always open to you all. And with that, thank you and have a very good afternoon, everybody. So guys, if you want to come up, I'll go ahead and give you your plaques.